right, we start with some breaking news coming in. ED searches are currently on at the National Herald House. Searches in connection with the National Herald money laundering case. So yes, these are a fresh round of searches that the Enforcement Directorate is currently carrying out at the National Herald building in the national capital itself. Now remember, already we do see how the party high command, mainly Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi, have already been questioned by the Enforcement Directorate with regards to this very case. And we saw how Rahul Gandhi, though, was called in for questioning for 50-odd hours, though the Enforcement Directorate maintained that the exact timing of his questioning was limited to 15 hours only, and Sonia Gandhi too was called by the Enforcement Directorate for questioning in this very case thereafter. So first it was Rahul Gandhi, then Sonia Gandhi. Following this comes the searches by the Enforcement Directorate at the Herald House. Let me go across to Bhavtosh joining us live with more details. Bhavtosh, what more can you tell us? A fresh development in the case, the ED currently carrying out searches at the building.
Yes, not only at Herald House but also at other places. What we can confirm to our viewers is that probably for the first time, Federal Probe Agency, the Enforcement Directorate...
I'll come back to you, Bhavtosh. Let me go across to Mr. Subramanian Swamy joining us on the phone line. Sir, you are very well aware of this very case. You're closely linked to this case. What more can you tell us? ED is currently at the premises of the National Herald House going ahead with searches.
One correction, this is my case. It is I who filed the complaint in court. Okay? So
that's
anyway,
exactly why I said you're closely linked to the case.
No, you said close. You know, it is my case.
Okay.
Now, and the ED has come on the basis of my complaint filed with the ED. Anyway, the fact of the matter is that it was quite clear to me after whatever extracts I heard about the interrogation of Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi, that they were actually not helpful in providing the documents.
Okay.
So in that case, this ED has no alternative, having come to that conclusion, which I'm sure they have come to raid the premises and see how the payments are being made. For example, they have rented it out to a number of private companies, plus of course the passport office also. So how the payments are being made and where it is being deposited and all that, they were not forthcoming. So to obtain the documents which they were not giving or not even admitting to having, they had to do a raid. And I think it's a very good sign that we are now in an advanced stage.
Okay, so what you're saying is this is certainly a follow-up of the questioning that went underway of both Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi, because it's not just once that they were called in for questioning. Multiple rounds of questionings have gone by.
Yes, that's right. They've gone by and they have not been forthcoming, talking about Motilal Vora being responsible. So therefore, the best thing for them to do is to go to the office and take the files.
Interesting that you pointed out Motilal Vora being mentioned. As per ED sources, we put out that information as well, to which we've seen several reactions coming in terms of criticism, given that, you know, the man is no longer there to defend himself. So why is it that this kind of a narrative is being peddled by both the leaders? We're told both Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi mentioned him.
Well, of course, in fact, there are minutes to show that he was asked to do certain things as a member of the board of Young Indians. And he never did it on his own. He was only a director. And he was only having 12% of the shares, whereas these people, the mother and the son, they were having 80% of the shares.
Yes. Do you also think, Mr. Swamy, that much of the contention also lies in the fact, and that's what the Enforcement Directorate wants to find out, that how is it that the 90+ crore loan was written off just for 50 lakh rupees? That's also pretty much where this case lies. That's the center of it all to begin with.
As one aspect of the case, that they could have got the building auctioned and recovered the entire 90 crores, but they could not, because that was a fake. It's a fraud that they committed by telling lies.
Okay, you're saying the Enforcement Directorate perhaps did not get the answers it wanted and now is aiming to find out something more as far as the ongoing searches go. Thank you so much, Dr. Swamy, for putting out all those details in front of us once again here on Times Now. So yes, viewers, we do see fresh searches being conducted by the Enforcement Directorate right after the questioning of Sonia Gandhi. Remember, it was first Rahul Gandhi and then Sonia Gandhi, who was also questioned thrice. She was questioned for 2 hours, then 6 hours, and then 3 hours. So that's how what her questioning looked like. And we were also tracking details of what perhaps was the line of questioning that was put out by the Enforcement Directorate, in which we're being told that one of the things that the Enforcement Directorate was keen on finding was under what circumstances did the Gandhis become Young Indians Director. And also, of course, like Dr. Swamy was pointing out, how is it that the AJL's 90.21 crore rupee loan was written off just for 50 lakh rupees after Young Indian was incorporated? So several of those questions were asked to both the leaders and Dr. Swamy is of the opinion that upon not receiving the answers that the Enforcement Directorate was looking for, the Enforcement Directorate has now been prompted to perhaps go ahead with these searches at the Herald House. So ED conducting searches at the National Herald House in the national capital as it is investigating this very case. Let me go across to Priyank as well, who's joining us with more details on the ongoing searches. Yes, Priyank.
Yes, certainly we are at the Herald House, and the news which broke out just a short while back is also very important to see, because Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi, both of them have been questioned by the Enforcement Directorate in relation to that case. Motilal, both have been, quite, a visitor who has been always coming to this Herald House. Let me show you the visuals of this Herald House where all these people are, here, because the passport office is also at this location. And as we know that the Enforcement Directorate is not only carrying out searches at this location, but searches at several locations here in the national capital in relation to this AGL investigation which is being carried out by them. Time and again, Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi have been questioned. As we know that Sonia Gandhi has been questioned by the Enforcement Directorate for 9 hours, and similar to that, the Congress party had also raised the point ample number of times whenever the Gandhis have been questioned in relation to that case. But early morning on Tuesday, what we have got to know that the Enforcement Directorate has once again been carrying out searches at this Herald House, which is at the near the ITO of the national capital.
All right, so several searches underway, not just at the National Herald House, but also several other locations in the national capital itself. Priyank is reporting from outside the Herald House. Priyank, when is it that these searches began, and how long can we expect them to go on for? Any word that you're picking up from the ED officials there?
See, what we have got to know that the searches started, around an hour back, and India officials are still inside. We cannot spot the vehicles which belong to the Enforcement Directorate officers because this is the location which is under search. This is the house, building which came under, series of scrutiny because of the amount of the property which is there. If you look at the location, this is one of the prime locations of the national capital. That's why the Enforcement Directorate and the Income Tax Tribunal also came up with an observation that the property of the Herald House, which belonged to the National Herald, is certainly in 2,000 crores, and the amount of income tax which Rahul Gandhi had claimed was very less, based on which the Income Tax Tribunal also found out that the amount of money which Rahul Gandhi could have been earning was certainly not 65 to 70 lakh, it was around 200 crores, and based on which the investigation started. We know that Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi have been under series of scrutiny by the questioning which has happened from the Enforcement Directorate side. The only factor on which they have been questioned time and again is that if the money, the ownership was changing from the held to the Young India, from the AGL to the Young India, then how is it possible that they were not aware that this amount of money could have been in more the price, and how is it possible that when the loan was given, it was given without giving any kind of on paper assurance that what is the basis on which the amount has been taken. So it's very important to see that why Enforcement Directorate is right now raiding and carrying out searches, I would say, at the Herald House, because we know that the investigation has been going on since months. They have already, questioned Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi. What it appears that there would be some documented fact which the ED wants to personally come and check at this location. That's why they have come. Certainly, the Congress party will once again come into action and say that this is a political vendetta, and why the Enforcement Directorate have been, once again carrying out searches at the Herald House, on which the agencies can come out and say that it's a part of the investigation. We are yet to know that which are the other locations where the searches are being carried out, but this is one of the prominent and the most important location which is related to the National Herald case, under which the senior leaders of Congress party have been questioned by the Enforcement Directorate. And what we have got to know, the news which was broken by Bhavtosh Singh, our senior colleague, that Enforcement Directorate has once again been carrying out searches at this location in the national capital, which is known as Herald House.
Okay, so we'll stay with you because, currently the Enforcement Directorate officials are there. They're going ahead with their searches at the prime property of the National Herald House in the national capital itself. Now, Priyank, this is, of course, with regards to the alleged misappropriation of assets worth 2,000 crore rupees, a big amount there. But like you pointed out, the Enforcement Directorate's findings and the charges are also based on the Income Tax Department's findings, and this case has been going on for the longest time now. But given that these searches come right after, days after both Rahul Gandhi's questioning and then Sonia Gandhi's questioning, what remains to be seen is whether or not this is a follow-up of the same, whether or not there are answers that the Enforcement Directorate wants to find out with regards to the answers given by the two leaders.
Yes, certainly, Christine, it's very important, because if you see, both the senior leaders of Congress party have been questioned by the Enforcement Directorate. What we got to know that certainly their answers was not satisfactory in nature. That's why they were once again been called. We know that Rahul Gandhi, while he was being questioned for the 10 to 11, 9 hours, he took more time for the editing of the document, which was later on printed, and he had to sign it. Similarly, Sonia Gandhi was also questioned for 9 hours. This search is very important because there must have been some missing link for which the ED is trying to find out.